Life, lessons, logistics. Let's go. Hello, everyone. It's the Bodacious Cowboy. Welcome to the Storytelling Chronicles, Life, Lessons, and Logistics. I have a good friend here, and hopefully I'll be the only one that pronounces his last name correct. Kowalewski. Am I right?
Love it. There's an award coming in the mail. You got it.
There you go.
got it. I'm still learning it. That's amazing.
Some of the things when you're a host, you got to get the names right, and I've been practicing all weekend. I'm not going to lie. I said, I'm going to get this guy's last name right. So
logistics is a melting pot of diversity, and those last names sometimes get challenging, but it's a respect thing, right? And so learning is very important for sure.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. So welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. Hopefully you had a great holiday weekend and that Father's Day went very well for you. Relaxing.
And that's the key word, right? So got to spend it with my two favorite people, my daughters and my family overall. And it was great hanging on the beach, getting some sun, doing a little fishing. Just the typical, the Hallmark card Father's Day. It happened, right? And so it was a great day. The older I get, the more I appreciate the simplicity of just being around the people that are important to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's a fine line between working in logistics and separating what you do on a daily basis from your family life. And a lot of people have a hard time, Mitch, doing that because they get so engulfed into what they do because it's special. The logistics industry is a really special vertical that a lot of people, take to heart, and I used to take things to heart, Mitch, and it kind of affected my health. And then I came to conclusions one day that, hey, you can only control the controllables. Everything else, let it go. Let it go. And when the clock stops, whatever that may be, it's surely not at 5 o'clock, separate that time and drop what you're doing and focus on your family. I didn't do that for years and I can't get it back. And that's what this show is all about. It's about helping others to define what work is and what family life is and how to separate the two. Tell me about your life and how you got into logistics, Mitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things real quick before I even do that. I need you to know you're talking to Mitch 2.0. And I'll tell you about Mitch 2.1.0, right? But you have Mitch 2.0 on today. How I got into logistics is simple. I was born into logistics. This is all I know. This maybe working at Taco Bell, I think, were my two qualifications. But my dad grew up. My grandfather was in it. We never had a family trucking business. We were always just kind of street hustlers in the deal. My grandfather was in it. My father was in the LTL side, and that's knocking on doors, right? Working for some legacy folks, BMAC Transportation, ICX, was the first Estes Express employee in Chicago, McCook, Illinois, back in the day, just really expanding that East Coast brand into the Midwest. But as a little kid, on Saturdays, he'd go in. Now, this is well before computers, so this was, big stacks of bill of ladings he's filing up. But, I would walk around the terminal. I'd see the shuttle drivers, and they put me into the seat and go in shuttle trailers. I just absolutely fell in love with the smells, the sounds, the energy of trucking. And I just knew at an early age, this is it. This is it for me. To the disappointment of my dad, who's in the industry, saying, no, please go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, right? Just please do anything but this. But I think that fueled my passion even more to say, this is it. One thing I'm proud to say, from a reputation standpoint, my father is my hero to this day. I've learned everything from him overall, but he didn't teach me by opening any door. He taught me by making it really do it the hard way and do it my own way. He had a really good industry reputation. I grew up in the Chicago area. He was a heavy presence in Chicago, and his deal was, I've worked my entire career to make a name for myself in supply chain logistics. Don't screw it up, and go learn how to load a truck in the cold off a LTL dock. Right? You're not going to like doing that too long. Go floor unload some freight and figure this out. I did, and then you get into the inside, and that's better than the outside. But then you just want more and more. He was in sales. Sales is something that is always a passion for me. It's relationship driven. It's a way you can still have some control into a scenario if you're halfway decent at it, I guess, right? And at the end of the day, That's absolutely where my love was, watching him grow up in the LTL, regional to kind of Midwest territories. Being a little kid in the summer, I would be off of school. He would drive up to Milwaukee from Chicago. Maybe I could spend that day and my day off and just making calls. And I'd just be in the passenger seat and he's running into the next place he's running. But I loved it. I would see the energy of the manufacturing places. And if I was lucky as a little kid, maybe I got to go to a lunch. I'm a long-term customer, something to go in, but it just made me understand that this is a relationship business and these people trust my dad and they lean on him. And these weren't always good conversations. I hear him on the phone. I'm so sorry. The truck will be there, right? The same conversations, Jeff, you and I have every single day. But that's really where my start was, to say there's something around that isn't a desk job necessarily, but I can go and I can see how things are made and I can have an impact on how those are made and how those go on a shelf and how those go into a manufacturing process. And so, I'm a curious person by design. I'm a visual learner by design. And, looking back in my career, I'm so grateful to say I got to, the school field trips as an adult. I get to see where bread is made. I get to go see how Tonka trucks are built and how cars are assembled. And I get to do this for a living. But I get to really control some of that outcome with support and services in our industry. And I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And the biggest thing that I found out for myself is that, that's all good stuff, Mitch. You talk about, the legacy that your father basically left you, and you just took the ball, you ran with it. You had a few touchdowns, you had a few fumbles. We all have a fumble or two.
Lots. How long is this show? Lots. Holy cow. Hold on a second now. Right? Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And we'll get into that in a minute, because you can't learn in this industry unless you fail, right? I mean, and you got to fail multiple times, because the field is so challenging. You don't know when your next challenge is going to be. Yesterday is gone. Today you have to be present, and tomorrow's not promised. So you start focusing on, you think that you're going to have a great day, and all of a sudden you get that phone call and you're like, oh no, it's not here we go again, because you're expecting it. How do you take on obstacles and barriers and failures to get you to that next level?
Well, first of all, the most important thing is working on myself every single day. I reflect, I take a couple of minutes, and I focus on my mental health. And we can all do a better job. I need to really do a better job overall, but my physical health, that was never important in the first end of my career. I was a road warrior. I was living out of hotels. I still am. And I was living out of airplanes, and I still am. But I was doing it in a very unhealthy lifestyle. And it was chasing the sale, chasing the deal, and my life was secondary to that. That included my relationships, personal, right? They included everything overall, right? And so I think today I look at that, and I look at that cocky, egotistical dude with hair, probably back in the day, thinking he had a little bit of industry success, and that really kind of maybe made him into somebody maybe he shouldn't be, or thinking that that's what people wanted out of me, was that. And all along, people wanted respect. People wanted mutual respect. People wanted value between partnerships and not a one-sided deal. And so all of those things, Jeff, I've learned the hard way through some of those things and taking those examples and really understanding. When I got in this industry, I got into it pretty early and I moved up pretty early. I'm very, very grateful for that. But that also hurt me big time, because having early success in sales from a enterprise level or from a deal as a young guy, given sales teams to run, doing some of those other things, I really needed to be in a mental and physical place to be able to understand what that opportunity was overall, and what people expected out of me versus what I thought. And sales is crazy, man. It's like a drug, and it could be a good drug and a bad drug. Really? And when it's good, it means you're good at your skill. But when it's bad, it plays tricks on your brain, right? And those tricks are that everybody wants to hear you talk all the time. You're a gift to the room when you walk in, right? All of those things, and that was not the case at all. And those were the things where sales is about repetitive small wins every single day, progress every single day, but maintaining the value of those relationships. And those relationships before were transactional. They were numbers, they were buildings, they were commodities, they were addresses to invoice. But today, Mitch 2.0, those relationships are with me no matter what that business card says. And I'm so proud of some of those core folks that have become family to me, because they saw a different type of value from me. They saw market intelligence. They saw the consistency. They saw some of these other things. And so I had to burn some bridges to understand that for sure. And again, I think that early success was a root cause of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, in the field that we're in, you have more losers than winners, especially if you're on the sales side and you're making all those calls and everything. So you're trying, as a newbie coming in here, first and foremost, you're trying to define what your niche is. You're definitely trying to define what your value is and how you can differentiate yourself from others, right? I mean, it's an equal playing ground when everybody comes in, but then there's that time where you have to have separation. What makes you you being Mitch and what makes me Jeff? That separates the two, and we go in different paths, and we take on different things. Now you're in cold chain, I'm not. I'd love to find out how you got into cold chain, because I was in it for just a little bit and I hated it. I'll be perfectly
It's
honest.
crazy. It's crazy, man.
That's not my niche. That's not my niche. So you talked a lot about the hard goods in the beginning. And I believe that's what your father was in, especially on the LTL side.
Yep.
Where did that transition happen, Mitch, where you went from the hard goods into the god-awful area of cold chain?
Yeah. And cold chain is definitely the dominant word of my life today, for sure. Amplify, Cargo County group of companies. That is our primary focus every day we wake up. But, I got into cold chain really based on first based on shippers and growing. Whatever the commodity they had was what I was chasing, right? And so I got in my situation really where shipper X worked at company Y, left to go to company Q, and company Q is a cold chain company, and company Y was making flagpoles. I don't know, right? And at the end of the day, he went from flagpoles, or she went from flagpoles to frozen pizzas. Well, now I better learn everything about frozen pizzas because I have an upper inside, hopefully, to keep my momentum going with that energy. So that's really kind of the first stop is understanding who is doing it and building those relationships. Now that I have enough of those, where can I house those in a fulfillment way? I was working for a company in Chicago for some time, and it was an asset-based company doing a lot of LTL consolidation for the LTL companies, full truckload, expedited team, running across the country, LTL terminal. And really there is where I kind of started understanding the value of expedited cold chain and some of these other pieces. I took a risk and joined a digital freight platform in the San Francisco region where they were 100% focused on fresh produce. That was it. Fresh produce or die, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a very, very literal thing. Let's go and approach the market. And they definitely had some successes during the time. It's a focus of a digital logistics platform. That's sometimes is oil and water to the stubborn produce community sometimes, but they made some great momentum, and I learned a ton from them, and really learned a ton about the commodities of fresh produce, and that's where that passion really kicked in overall. Working in that deal, I was able to team up with some other folks that really also focused core on that, and thought, hey, I would be a good value there. And the folks at Amplify are like-minded, like myself. We all are equally passionate about this. We're all equal mindset in our personal lives, or of equal mindset in our business lives. And it's almost like we all went to different companies in our career and took the best of the best and put it together, right? Because we actually enjoy, we enjoy each other, we respect each other, we complement each other, I think, right? And we're growing together. But one thing's for sure, we all speak the exact same DNA, and that is, cold, right? And so, what our company does specifically, we do three things. We move it, we store it, and we distribute it, right? We use our retail relationships, we use our cold storage warehouses, we use our fulfillment distribution tools, and we make it happen from the plant to the finished product, from the frozen pizza to the store shelf. So it's something that we're really excited about. We have a dominant presence in Canada. We entered the U.S. A little while ago, and that's growing like crazy. And so it's a start to finish cold chain solution of North America, and we're really proud that we're making some great headway doing that.
Yeah, it seems like Amplify's mission is to build a family, not a business. But if everybody has like-minded minds, you're going to move a lot faster at a quicker pace, because everybody believes in the same mission statement and the goal and objectives that need to be met. So, I'm a firm believer, you have to hire smarter people than yourself, because that's what either makes you or break you, because you are the people that work in the trenches. And I know for a fact, just talking to you, is that you're in the trenches kind of guy. I'm in the trenches kind of guy. You know, the more you learn, the better off you're going to be. So when those problems and issues and obstacles and barriers come up, you know how to face them. You know, like myself, I don't lead people to the water. I give them the tools to help them to get to the water.
I love it. Yeah.
When they create their own path to drink that water, that's when you're going to get the most creativity, because you didn't build it for them. They built it. They appreciate it more. And then you get more out of those people. Now, on the cold chain, that has a lot more failures than successes compared to your regular freight. Like when a pulp test is done on grapes or any kind of vegetables and it doesn't meet that and they totally reject the whole thing. How did you feel the first time when that happened? I definitely happened to you. Sorry, but I know that it definitely happened to you.
And hey, listen, we love moving fresh produce. We love moving ice cream. That's crazy. It's all the risk, but the risk is really, I think, what attracts us most to that. If we have strong processes and we have strong people and we have the technology to power all of that, the risk is what we crave, right? And that's really what separates us from the competition. There's 19,000 registered freight brokers plus in the United States. A lot of them do similar things. Their story, their pitches all sound the same. Man, we're building a company not to copy and paste what those folks are doing, but do something completely different. We want to hire non-industry logistics people and learn from them to build our company, expand our brand in other aspects versus just recycling kind of the same old, same old. We want innovation. We want different thinking and ideas. We're building a boutique style company. And what I mean by that is we don't want mega 700,000 square foot DCs in multiple cities. We want 80,000 square foot all over the place, right? You know, and so we're just trying to do different things. But at the end of the day, the cold chain piece is about risk, and understanding where that risk is what makes us successful. And it's about having the process and the technology behind it, something we're all very, very passionate about. You know, Jeff, it's like we took all of our best buddies in the industry and we put them in a company together. And there's already the trust established, right? There's already the momentum. Some of the folks I'm super proud with, they are Amplify. They were my teammates previously with me in my last company, and we were able to keep some of that momentum and come together and put some of that together. So, you know, at the end of the day, the trust is established, the chemistry is already there, and we can just maturely keep going to the other level. So the industry's crazy. Nobody's sleeping. Everybody's on high tense, but you know, we know that we're making progress, small progress every single day, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. But you know, everybody has failure, and especially in pro. I used to work. You probably heard of GenPro.
Of course.
Yeah, I worked
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right on the river.
No, they're up in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Okay.
But I worked for them a little bit, and I actually moved on. That's when I started my own business because it was time. But I remember the first time that, you know, I had a failure. You know, the temp dropped in the reefer, and, you know, not by that much, but it wasn't within the spec of being approved and being accepted. So they rejected it. And I just remember the feeling in, you know, how temperamental the you know, the produce business is. And I mean, you've had to have a problem or two, you know.
Of course, the produce business is amazing, right? So you think everybody's got to eat. It's a big business. It's a bigger business than a lot of people when they take a couple of steps back. But it's really, it's not just a business. It's a big business that equals a lot of food waste, and that food waste is a big deal. And that's a mission that we wake up every day: is how can we conquer a little bit of that and making our processes, our company, our equipment better. We like to run specialized equipment. We run multi-temp reefers. Shippers can have different temperature commodities within the same shipment of consolidation. Not a lot of people are doing that today. So we try to be one step ahead of the industry. But the produce industry sometimes can be stubborn overall. But again, this goes back into relationship and where some of that trust is. And so, you know, it's become a technology industry very, very quickly, right? There's the ability in just a snap of a finger to have real-time temperature, real-time humidity, real-time, you know, services on the march of a dime. It's about being proactive versus reactive, really, in fresh produce. And so there is a way a truck can still break down halfway through, and we can salvage that product, right? It's all about time, preparation, and speed.
Yeah, and you know, when you work from the outside in, there's a lot of problems that come from the inside out. I'm not afraid to say the names: Wakefield or CS Wholesale. I mean, when they have operational issues and you go and you make a delivery there and you have a, must arrive by date at a specific time, you get there and you're waiting 7 hours before you get unloaded. I mean, that's a huge problem on the operation.
Must arrive by date. We're at the must arrive by minute at this point, right? So yeah, exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, right.
And you get there, but yet you wait there for hours on, and you know that they have, some issues on internal logistics operations and why they're holding all the carriers up. That was the biggest problem. I think that happens to all carriers and service providers in that vertical cold chain and delivering produce to these big.
I would agree with you, but I'm going to go back into relationships. So not only shipper relationships, but capacity sourcing relationships. Sure. They're just as equally as important. We got to treat the carrier, the partner carriers that we utilize. If we're not using our assets, if we're using an asset capacity strategy of a third-party deal, we're only using trucks that are dedicated to our network, almost as a dedicated fleet. So if I'm hauling berries out of far Texas, I'm not going to give a berry load, which is a high risk, 32, 33 degree deal, to a guy that only hauls poultry, because the unloading times of a poultry driver is very different than the unloading times of a berry driver. But the berry guy that only hauls berries, I'm selling it in. I know he's going to get it. He knows how long it takes at Walmart. He knows how long it takes at Publix, right? He knows, he does it for a living. And so finding them from a carrier sourcing, having the attractive freight of those berries that he's used to hauling, and it's a co-match of a dating relationship. But our capacity team is just as important as our shipper sales team. They're the chicken or the egg. They have to complement each other and have the right truck to the right load all day.
Oh, absolutely. And in the market that we're all living right now, it's terrible. Not preaching to the choir by any means, but it's a perfect time to do exactly what you say. Start procuring the carriers out there. Start building those relationships. Start filling your corral up. So when the market switches, you're building those relations up front so that you can keep up with the volume that hopefully you're going to get. Not be searching and spending a lot of time trying to find the capacity to move those loads when it happens. But something, I'm going to bring this up right now. I'm going to be speaking at the Broker Carrier Summit on October 12th and 13th down in Tampa. We have a great lineup of speakers. I don't know what you're doing during that time, but if you're a carrier or broker and you want to attend an awesome event, check this out. Go online, register. It's going to be an event where what you're talking about, Mitch, about collaborating and start building those relationships between the carrier and broker and vice versa. So, try to look it up and check it out. It's going to be a great show.
Jeff, 5 years ago, every load that was tendered to a third-party carrier, I didn't worry if I was going to be double brokered or not. Now it's on my mind every single time somebody new comes in that hasn't hauled a load for us before. And so that in the industry has changed from a compliance, from a risk standpoint, of just the existing industry challenges have grown from a security or a threat standpoint. And, these are the organizations that are focused on that, come together in alliance. Man, those brokers, those truckers, those are my competitors, but not in this. We're family when we come and tackle industry issues and make sure that we're all speaking the same sync on combating just garbage, right? That stands in our way and obstacles and challenges.
Here's one thing I can guarantee. I'll just be blunt. If you're a carrier or broker and you're unethical or you're double brokering, you got a set of balls to go and come to this event down there in Tampa.
No doubt. But it's not even about them showing up. It's about us, everybody having a unified voice around that, right?
Absolutely.
Around that. And so, and that's not the only industry. It's what's happening in equipment purchasing. We're seeing equipment exit the U.S. every single day right now. It's not happening enough. We're starting to see that happen. It is starting. We're seeing that in data, but at the end of the day, there's just the imbalance in what's going on, what's happening in the West Coast, what the impact of the West Coast is for the rest of the country if we feel it every single day, right? So overall, there's a lot. I'm sure there's a fruit basket full of opportunities of discussion in that event.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you talk about the West Coast and the strike that they had out there, and the disruptions that shippers are just absolutely fed up with, and you've seen that switch where they started moving all that freight into Houston and into Savannah and up into New Jersey and New York ports, which is number one now. Who would ever think that, right? But the shift is happening. And, with all these disruptions, I don't really see the port of Los Angeles and Long Beach coming back as strong as they did in the past years, from the pandemic moving forward. I think they're going to be struggling for some time. And don't forget about the Canadian strike that's out there in Port Rupert and all that. I mean, that's going to be feeding the port of Los Angeles and port of Long Beach as well. So more disruptions possibly, and I hate to see it, but we're in hard times now. And you mentioned about carriers, leaving the market. Day 182. If you look at the data points, and I just put a post out there, and I thank Dean Crook from DAT for sharing that with me over the weekend. We're at an intersection that's going to be the tail of the tape for sure. And we can either follow 2020 and go in the right direction, or bounce along with 2017 and 2019, or even below. And that's going to be devastating to the market. And we're going to see a mass exodus of carriers. I hope that doesn't happen.
I think we as a capacity provider, I don't know if we're expected to so much lower rates, but we're expected to offer additional value today that maybe we didn't have to do 6 months ago to really stay justified as a core value into their supply chain. And so what are those creative, fresh approaches to give them some inside ammo for the bullets of their gun to use, right? So how can we offer additional value every single weekend? You mentioned the ports. I agree with you. I think Long Beach is going to have some struggles. There's three primary companies that own that port. That's Ashley Furniture, that's Walmart, and that's Home Depot. But I think, with COVID, Houston, man, if I was getting into this industry as an owner-operator, I'd go get my drayage truck and I'd go put it in Houston. I'd be a Houston drayage owner-operator right this second. But at the end of the day, we see some of the positives from that negative of Long Beach. We see a major dredge operation in Savannah and really seeing the impact. We see, right, Charleston seeing a brand new rebirth of sailing fresh from the East Coast coming in. Philadelphia taking a massive, massive impact. We're seeing cars come in that way versus the other way. So even Washington, smaller Washington ports are seeing produce that would normally come into Long Beach. So other people are benefiting from some of the chaos there. So from a full synergy cycle, but it all comes back to, right, the ports are the baseline to everything else, to the trains and the trucks and everything in between.
Yes. So now let's get on another topic. I would love to get your feedback on what just happened to Tiger Cool Express. What are your thoughts on that?
I think shocking for all of us a little bit. Tiger Cool, staple since 2013 or so. Yep. Again, as a cold chain person, the Union Pacific really dictated that. They had a cold chain service for many, many years, and that went blank very quickly to the industry. There was a ripple on that, on intermodal dependency for that. And there was an opportunity for Tiger Cool to step up and really capture that quick market share. Mark Shepard and Leslie Beard and those folks did an amazing job, I think, at really developing that both, Mexico, U.S., Canada. I was a user of that capacity throughout my career, and definitely a believer. The folks out of the Kansas City Southern supporting, shocking overall. What does that mean? I don't think everybody really knows. I think there was some pending deals with the Union Pacific out of an intermodal facility specific for produce and some other cold chain deals out of Washington that I believe might still go. It's just not through the Tiger Cool piece. So at the end of the day, a lot of really good people lost their jobs pretty quickly overnight. And that's what's important to us is how can we help them with that? Can we offer resources? Can we offer guidance? Do we have anything that we can maybe expedite that was a Q3 deal and a Q1.5 that we can help in? So there's some really talented people from Tiger Cool on the cold chain side that will bounce back quickly on the truckload side, on the LTL side, or on the intermodal side overall. But at the end of the day, there's still a gap there, right? So that's more trucks on the road as an immediate effect, right? More trucks hauling some of that. But we need diverse multimodal options to complete a supply chain for a customer and be diverse across the board on that.
Oh, absolutely. Because if I remember correctly, Tiger Cool had 700 COFCs, I think, or 700.
Yeah, I don't know the total number. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it was growing and growing and growing. Right? It was Canadian. It was Mexico touch, and it was U.S. for sure. Yep.
Yeah. I just hope that that they figure that whole thing out, and with all that freight, somebody's going to benefit from it for sure. That's going to be available, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. And we have the UPS possible strike that's out there. We have yellow freight. I've heard
By
it.
August, by July. Yeah, we've heard. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They're struggling, and I just feel for the carriers right now. Anybody that's got the assets, you know, just to try to keep their head above water. We all need them. I know that you're carrier friendly. I've always been carrier friendly. That collaboration is so important now, more than any other time, I feel. And I've seen some peaks and valleys over my career for sure. And the one thing that shippers can do, and I'm going to talk about this at the Broker Carrier Summit, is that there's two major questions that are hardly ever asked. And one thing from a shipper is to a carrier or even a service provider is like, how can I help you? I mean, when was the last time that a shipper ever said that? Never. They don't ask that question. And then on the carrier side, they can come back and say, well, what have you done for me lately? You kicked me to the wayside, but yet when you're in a bind, you reach out to me to try to get you out of that predicament, and then you want me to respond. I think that shippers,
Partnership, right? Partnership. Are you a vendor or are you a partner? Right? Partner is a big important word.
Right. Service providers and shippers have to keep their carrier base fed all year round. They're there for you. They're the ones that move the freight. You need them. Build those relationships. You need that. And so many people just try to rake them over the coals. I don't believe in it.
No, I agree. I mean, we're pushing the same driver to do different things today. We're expecting him to stock milk in the store shelf. We're expecting him to do these things and push and push and push. We gotta treat that driver well, really well. And so it's happening. We're seeing culture changes with the driver on some focus. Is it too late? We hope not. There's a lot of automation that's coming around the corner, but man, it's not here yet. And so the drivers that are in the trucks moving the freight, we've got to really keep them focused. And so that's something here at Amplify in Carter County we definitely are proud of is having a fleet of company drivers and owner operators that, to your point, you said before, they're family. I mean, our tenure, our turnover rates, man, we'll brag those against anybody. We're really proud of our driver retention. And so that comes with paying respect to them as an employee for sure.
Yep. So the bottom line is take care of the carriers that take care of you.
No doubt.
That's it. Hey, Mitch, I appreciate your time today and joining the podcast. How can people get in contact with you, Mitch?
Sure. I'm Mitch.K at amplifylogistics.com. Mitch.K at amplifylogistics.com. Go to our website, reach out. I'll get the message, but find me on LinkedIn, right? That's probably the easiest way. Send me a message and I'll get right back to you. I can't wait to connect find some new friends. I've made a lot of LinkedIn friends in the last several months of me that I'm just learning from their insights and their perspectives and their views of what's going on. And so if you put a good post and you see a brand new follower, it's probably me, and I want to keep learning from you. So that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. The Storytelling Chronicles is on every single Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a great show in store for you next Monday. So with that said, thanks, Mitch. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great.
I loved it.
Hey, guys.
Thanks so much.
All right. Take care.